It's Sam Carl Talk Movies, isn't it? I thought I'd do a different start there.
Okay, well done. It's definitely
Sam,
different.
it's Carl, movies, and we'll talk about them. It says it on the tin.
Specifically, Evil Dead Rise.
Specifically, Evil Dead Rise. Give us a subscribe and all that, please. If you haven't, now we haven't done an episode for a little while, but you know what? It isn't as bad as our old podcast. So we left it like a week and a bit. So this is lucky. We're back. Yeah. There's plenty of movies coming out. We're back in the game.
It is my fault. I have been ill. I'm still a little raspy. Doing my best to get through the days. You know how it is. Lost my voice.
I did forget.
Which doesn't help the podcast, Carl.
Happened to me at Christmas, which is all fun. A whole week in, so Christmas Day including, I was sick, and then every day I was just in bed between Christmas and New Year, like ugh.
Perfect. I mean, you know, when you're with the family, though, it's not the worst, right?
I went down to my sister's sick, probably giving everyone COVID, but then couldn't talk, so I was just like, that was my Christmas.
Well, mine came from ulcers, and it was just so.
Oh, yeah.
It'd gone down my throat, caused a lot of pain and aggro. Couldn't really eat, and that was a real shame.
It's great.
Took a few LPs though, Carl, which is not a bad thing for me.
Well, it is, because you just starved yourself for a few days and you'll make up for it. Probably.
But I could have used the not eating.
That is fair. And actually, I had a few days like it myself this year as well, which might have helped in the weight loss as well. So
I think it guides you to not eat like a fat POS all the time.
There's no reason to.
Stop myself from swearing, because first 10 minutes, right? So
talking about eating, this film's about zombies or zombie-ish type things.
No,
they're kind of zombies.
No, I would have said evil demon.
But they act like them, though, don't they? Because they want to eat you.
I don't think they do. I think they just want to kill you.
They were taking chunks out of people. I remember that much.
Yeah, but they weren't. They weren't ingesting, and it wasn't to survive. It was just to maim,
just to be evil, I suppose,
and for them to be dead.
So
some of those dead to rise, and yeah.
So I did like it. So that you reminded me, actually, because it's been a while since we watched it. So you did remind me. The beginning starts off at a completely different location. It's not really a spoiler. It's the first scene, and it's just like a cabin by the woods type situation. You think, okay, all right, I'm on board. And then there's a couple of bits of violence. But what I did really like about that was the title card, where she comes. It's been on posters and stuff as well. Sort of comes out the water, and then you have Evil Dead Rise come up. Looked pretty good to me. So that was fun.
But that is actually a couple of days after the events of what you see in the film, right? So it goes back a couple of days before.
Yeah.
And
interesting times. And then we sort of switched to an apartment block, right? We just switch locations to an apartment block, switch characters, and then we get it's basically quite a claustrophobic prisoner evil spirit.
Well, yeah, I assume that the writers did that to like have the start bit as like an homage to the cabin in the woods thing, where it first started in the original films, and then, well, they still need to make it claustrophobic, right? Because the cabin in the woods thing is a claustrophobic feel. How do we do that? Do it in an apartment building, not just an apartment building that is mainly abandoned, I believe. Not a lot of people still living there, only a few students and poor people. So yeah, there's an earthquake, which causes, while the kids are out getting pizza, the ground to open up underneath the thingy, and they find the book of the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's called, the Book of the Evil Dead.
Something like Naratu Maratu or something.
Yeah,
the Fatu Batu.
There's some basically some magic happens, and then people start getting killed.
Yeah, not great magic for them. They had, was it a family of 3 young girls and a mother, and the sister of the mother in one apartment. The sister is the main character.
Yeah,
and they're both fit. from what I remember.
I guess,
Of
yeah.
Hot Sisters.
Yeah.
Classic horror trope, right? But in a good way.
It helps. It's more. When you're looking at a lot of evil on the screen, you may as well look at some beauty as well, right?
What I'm getting at is it wasn't gratuitous.
Yeah.
It wasn't, your classic slashers where they've got their orcs out. And
yeah, I think we're past having to do that now. I mean, that is just had to have thing that happened. Like there are lots of sort of nerdy men on the internet complaining when there aren't any tits in horrors now. And those people should they should open an evil book and have evil demon spirits visit them, I think.
I mean, seems fair enough, because they are.
But why?
There's
an actress in the actress in Terrifier. She gets a lot of good stuff, but there are always less now. But there's normally someone like in the comments going, "Why didn't you have more? Why didn't you have your breasts out in the film, bitch?" And it's that's basically what they mean. It's a it doesn't have to be, does it? What's wrong with you?
No, it's not the plot line. It's just a nice addition to this.
If you're a teenager, basically, it's fun, right? To go look, tits out, yeah, boobies, yes, mammaries,
glands,
feeding glands.
Yeah, glands is just a horrible word, though, isn't it? Overall. Okay, so enough about the mammary glands. All hell breaks loose, Carl. The mother, while I assume going to the laundry room,
in the lift, right?
Yeah, in the lift, gets murked by a spirit.
Yeah, and that's not a massive spoiler because it's in the trailer. It's the great line in it. Mom, it's like Mum is with the maggots now. Great,
yeah,
fantastic. And that was one part of the trailer that really made me want to see it. I was like, this is great. They're scaring the kids. Mum is with the maggots. I'm in.
It's just the problem. There's a few problems with us doing this review. Number one, we saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
and memories are not good for us now at this age.
It's a big problem having seen it a couple of weeks ago. I've got to tell you, I've watched like 5 films since then, so it's kind of
it's not ideal. The other problem is you can't really go in depth about the kills because horror fans will be upset.
Yeah, and I don't really want to. I'd rather just say that there's some really creative kills. It's fun. That the spirits, I guess we'll call them, they are pretty evil and they do murk a lot of people pretty scarily. They're pretty fast. It's all quick. Like I can take this, and then they yeet it out down the corridor. No, you can't. Lots of practical effects, practical stunts, kind of stuff. All good fun. And then nods to the original thing. Lots of blood in places. It does creep you out because I didn't know who was going to die and who wouldn't, because it was done so well. It's like anyone, we can take you all out here. The kids might go.
I will have one minor criticism.
Okay.
And it's the creature at the end. I'm not going to give it too much away. But you know what I'm talking about.
I just, again, not going to give too much away. I thought that was a bit underwhelming. Not necessarily what it was. It was a bit ineffective.
I just thought, why? It didn't really add to the film anyway. It didn't make it any better. It didn't.
It was. You would assume that creature at the end should have been one of the most scary parts of it, right? Or it should have been the most formidable opponent. And it was kind of sneaky, but it wasn't that. It was only formidable out of bad luck for the main people. It was like, oh, I've got this machinery. That's not much of a spoiler, that I'm here. Otherwise, it would have been nothing, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously all so that they could end those spirits together, right? That was the whole point of it, is that they could have one grand finale.
And it did create a lot of blood at the end, and I think you got the shot of like them covered in blood, which always looks good at the end.
Don't get me wrong, I liked the grand finale in terms of horror movie, and I think her covered in the blood at the end is going to be maybe an iconic horror thing in the future. I don't know. I mean, things have changed, right? We used to see posters of things all the time, and I don't know whether kids would even buy posters anymore. It's like a different world, isn't it? I don't know.
You just see the Instagram posters.
Exactly.
But it does look cool, and it is part. I'm gonna be terrible with names, but it's part of a bit of a renaissance of horror. Obviously, I love the Terrifier stuff. There's a few others popping up now, and there's a lot of good performances from like Final Girls or whatever knocking around. I thought this it's just good. You're getting these really good characters that are tough and have to get through some pretty bad adversity and see some nasty stuff. And I do like films that surprise you in terms of the kills as well. Even that new trilogy of Halloweens, I haven't seen the second two. I've heard it's diminishing returns. I quite enjoyed the first one that they did. And there's a scene in that pretty early on where they kill a child. Because I was sat there thinking, there's no way. That boy's going to get away. And it's like, nah. No, he's not. I like that. I like a bit of meanness in the heart. Just like, oh no, this is supposed to be scary. Yeah. We're not going to have who you want to get away necessarily.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it makes it more realistic, right? If there's meanness, because that's what a psychopath or a killer or whatever would be like. They would be fucking mean. I can say the F word now, so 10 minutes in. Don't worry about it.
We'll try and limit the swearing on this one, but we are both foul-mouthed lumps of gristle.
Just cut that.
So,
whatever. But yeah, the kills in this are very mean. There's one in particular out in the hallway that I can think of that's decidedly mean. To one of the neighbor type characters. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's dastardly, is what I'll say it is. And again, I can't be into too much.
And it does give away things. Even the mother character is she is like a formidable, because even straight away, like, oh, this is a problem, and then it just becomes, because there's quite a long time where they're just in there, waiting for her or whatever, and they can look out the peephole and that kind of stuff, and just see her doing stuff as like, oh, she's a problem, and then trying to convince the kid to let her in, all that kind of stuff. But that character's really good, and she is mean, mummy or whatever. I guess we'll call her mummy for the.
Yeah, mummy's mean.
Mummy's with the maggots now. It's just a good character, and I do like that. After what seems like a long time of not, horror's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. There's a few more iconic characters coming out now, and I think that I haven't looked into it because we will not be on top of it like this, but I would imagine then this is opening up for further movies in this franchise, because it's
100%. I think
because it's been so well received. Well, yeah, it's great, and I think people will want to see more of it. I want to see a trilogy of this in this world, and maybe next time we do go out to the lake,
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can see, it's grossed 89 million so far or something, and the budget was under 20. So I mean,
they've killed.
It's likely we'll see a sequel. It'll be bigger. There'll be a bigger budget. They obviously just kind of, because the Evil Dead, we talked about this briefly before we came on the podcast. There was the reboot in 2013, so 10 years ago, which I think flopped pretty badly. So they probably did a small budget to see if there was any juice left in the, in the tank for it. I think it's taken it in a new direction that is.
And it brings back when you've got a small budget. When you've got a small budget, it brings back creativity, because sometimes you've got a massive. Every penny is accounted for. You haven't got a load of spare money if you've got $300 million. It's all spent, and it's difficult to manage. But when you haven't got much, you need people to be more creative. You need the whole crew and cast to be more creative and put a harder shift in. And the actors have got to put up with a lot of stuff. It was probably really hard work to make that from the actors' point of view as well. They probably have to do a lot of stunts, a lot of physical stuff, long days, all that kind of stuff that you don't think about a lot of the time. I don't know how long this took to make, but I know. So I think that Terrifier 2 movie took years to make because of COVID as well, and it was literally all hands on deck. They had to work really long hours, no sleep. You're tired, you're beaten up for 18, 20, 22 hour days and all that kind of stuff just to get that on the screen. And
I mean, that was really low budget, though, right? That was under a couple of mil.
Well, so it was. I can't remember the numbers. There was a short film. The first film was really low, and they crowdfunded the second one, and the second one has made a boatload of money, basically, compared to what the budget was. So the third one will get bigger.
Yeah.
But the director did all the special effects himself. He did all the makeup himself. It was literally a small crew, a small bunch of actors that were filming on and off for a couple of years. I think this one was it was done probably post-COVID. It's probably a bit easier to do that. They probably had a bigger budget as well. But it's you forget what people have to go through to get stuff on screen, even in TV shows and stuff. It's it's hard. It's not easy. It's not working down a mine. But
days,
Also, sometimes you're filming at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're outside in freezing cold in a little skimpy outfit, and you got to pretend it's summer, and all just stupid things like that. And so, that was awful.
I mean, it's first world problems, though, right? It's like
it is, but we wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if I saw Night Shoot on the script, but no, thank you. Can't do that these days. See you later.
Now, if I was being paid lots of money, possibly, but I did a few years ago. I signed up to like an extras thing, and I got an email through to go and do it for like a Netflix thing. But it was a night shoot in a football stadium. You got to be there from like 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. No. And I just went. And at the time, I was pretty desperate for money, and I just went, "Not going to do it."
No point. Too late.
Because they're gonna mess something up, and the guys forgot to bring the hot chocolate machine for the extras or something. So you're just gonna be freezing. Get a shitty, sweaty sandwich. It's like, well, this kind of fun. If I was 20, I probably would have done it because you don't care. You don't care as much, and you're getting a few quid in your pocket. But yeah, I just thought, nah, not for me.
No. Going back to the Evil Dead, though.
Yeah.
One thing.
I'm just trying to distract because we haven't got a lot to say about it. But carry on. Yeah.
No. I'm just gonna say the one thing that I think will make this a successful pivot from the original films is that, first of all, they didn't do the cabin in the wood thing. That was a good call because the reboot was basically they tried to make it serious, but the reboot was the same setting and the same kind of style book and everything else. In this, though, they moved away from the comedy aspect, which made the Evil Dead original films very charming, right? They had this.
Didn't they get more comedic?
They got more comedic, and the third one it was basically a comedy film with zombie type things in it, right? So, and that's Bruce Campbell, right? That's because he's such a character and whatever that you kind of. And then the Evil Dead series that they made with Bruce was just a straight up comedy with some gore in it, and whatever. But I think. What made this a successful reboot in a sense, or a sequel, or I don't know, whatever, is that they did take it very seriously. I think there's probably a couple of comedic moments in it, but it's more like comedic in the sense of the relationships between the people, not
they're just good banter between the
people. Look at us doing this and that and the other, and the characters and the demons, they're trying to be funny, but it's actually kind of maniacal and. So that's where it separates it, I think, from the others and does make it a better reboot. I think there are going to be sequels, and it depends how they do the sequels, though, right? Are they going to follow the woman, or are they going to follow the cabin thing? How's it going to? It's
Yeah, so I'm trying to find out about sequels, but it's one of those articles that baits you in and doesn't tell you. You've probably got to scroll all the way down it. But yeah, I'd imagine exactly there's going to be a sequel, and they could end up. It can go into the cabin, but it might not be everything. I'd quite like to see it on a bigger scale as well at some point. Maybe a third film, where it's not just one group of people, but maybe half a city or something, or a big problem.
Yeah, I think it looks like here that in April, Bruce Campbell said that him and Sam and Ivan Raimi are planning to do one every 2 or 3 years, essentially, if it's a success. So, yeah, we'll see a sequel down the line. I assume
good stuff
from this, and if they're producing it, it'll be in good hands, right? And it's going to make Bruce a bit of money, which is nice because he kind of struggled as an actor his whole career, and a bit of a legend. So,
yeah, Well, definitely a legend on both counts, I think, of those two. And I think it's good. It's definitely worth seeing. So if you're on the fence about it, I mean, we'll give our scores in a minute probably, but which I'm trying to calculate as we speak, but it's going to be pretty good because I think it was a really well-made film. And the criticism you said, I didn't remember that, but I remember at the time thinking, yeah, come on. But it's not even that much of a problem because the rest of the film's so good. It doesn't, and that scene, that whole scene is still good. It's just that particular aspect of it. I was like, oh,
it's a thing with horror films, right, where they never seem to get that right. It's very unusual that the reveal or the big bad boss or whatever, it's never quite done right in horror film. And it's not because, I don't know if you saw Smile from last year.
No.
Where it started off, it was terrifying the whole way through, jumping out your seat, that kind of stuff. And then you see the final thing and you're like, oh God, it's almost laughable.
Well,
this isn't laughable. But it does make you groan a little bit, and it's like,
Yeah, but I still think the scene was still good. It was still all good in that part. It was just literally what they were facing. I was like, come on, that's a bit silly. You don't even have to have a reveal of a big end thing. It could just be, it's all kicking off a lot more in that space where they were. You could, all the things could come together and just make it harder, and you're not going to get out. You can still give it a bit of jeopardy, but it was quite a cool ending, and you've got weapons that may or may not have been used in previous entries to the show, and it's gory and bloody, and overall the great kills.
There's a little homage, and you can probably guess what it is. It's in all of them. So yeah, there's a little homage at the end, and it's good. It's well done. Another thing at the end that kind of got me is, I can't really give too much away, but there's a kind of insensitivity is the wrong word, but there is kind of we don't care about the people that just died before. Like, there's almost like a mild comic-y feel again, like, oh, we got out of this situation. Everyone has just been, whatever. And this is another thing with horror films that I get a bit peeved about, is that they don't really delve into, like, yeah, you're elated to be alive, everyone would be, but you've just had to do hideous things and seen hideous things.
But that might not hit you for a while later. Do you know what I mean? You might just be like, well, that's fucking great. And then you spend a couple of days after crying in the woods or whatever.
Maybe, I don't know. It just, don't know. It just, again, took it a little bit out of the way for me. But endings with horror films are really difficult. I've always thought that. I've never really seen a horror film with a perfect kind of ending.
I don't think there's much of anything with a perfect ending as well. And the horror films do suffer from it, but most things end bad. TV shows, film, most things are like, I guess I liked the whole thing. But horror films, it's always been difficult for us.
Yes and no. I mean, like, Usual Suspects, right? You get that ending that's...
Yeah, but that's one of the best endings of a film of all time, so that's an outlier.
But, like, also, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's things like that where, like...
But they're some of the best films.
To have, like, a...
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it can be done.
Wrap it up. It can be done, but horror has always suffered from it. I think it's because you've always got to make it. You always feel you've made a really good film, and then we need an ending. It's like, well, we have to think of something. I don't know. Or maybe they just made it a bit comical, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
it was still a good ending. It wasn't like a. There's a lot of horror films I've seen over the years that the film's really good, and then you get to the end, and you think, for fuck's sake. Even Hereditary, which I really like, the end, I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, dreadful. Yeah.
But I still think the film's really good, so it doesn't ruin it. But it's just,
it did ruin it.
Kind of build it up, and then
it did. That was one of the few films where at the end I went, "Oh, fuck off!" I was just like that. No, can't do that. No, thank you. And I've never watched it again since. Even though I thought the rest of it was like,
I probably will watch it again. I can, if I know that something's coming, I'm not gonna I can watch something again sometime soon after as well, which I've done. But yeah, I'd watch this film again for sure. And a film we talked about a few weeks ago, Renfield. that's been settling around in my mind a little bit, and I probably would lower my score a bit, but I still like it, and I really want to watch it again. I'm excited to watch it again, just for the fun elements of it.
Yeah, I'm still not excited to watch that again. In fact, I haven't even given it a second thought since.
I think I might like it. I think I might like it a lot more on a second watch. I just got a feeling about it. Not to raise my score, because I think I gave it too high a score. But I think now I know the stuff you're not happy about. I just want to enjoy the fight scenes and some of the little comedy and stuff. I think I'd enjoy those things more. I don't know. We'll see. But we've really had to talk about many other things in this, not because this film's bad, because this film's good, and you should go and enjoy it and enjoy all the kills. Should we do scores?
If you're a horror fan, this is going to be one of your favorite films. Probably.
Yeah, it's already. Yeah. I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing but good stuff about this, and for the most part, anyway.
I complain about the ending. I complain about the ending, but in reality, with horror films, the ending doesn't really matter, right? The whole thing about horror films is the scares and the horror and the actual, the violence and everything else in this kind of film is what makes these films what they are. And as far as that goes, it's a pretty spot on, movie all round, and good acting. Strangely enough, again for a horror film, you don't always get that. Really well directed. I thought the cinematography of it, everything was beautiful. Like I thought,
it
was dark but light enough to it had a feel to it that not a lot of horror movies get. And I thought, I mean, that guy who directed it, obviously we talked about, he's got a film from 2019 or something that no one's seen. It's like an Irish, underground movie, but great reviews in some place, bad reviews in other place. Like I think he's probably going to do this horror niche thing, right? And because he's got what looks like a vision for good horror movies, and you can see it in this film. And I think to give him a bigger budget, who knows what you can do.
I like cool. some of these new filmmakers coming for they prove themselves in a really difficult lower budget film, and you can just give them the keys and some bigger tools, really, and let them enjoy themselves for a few years, and hopefully we'll get at least a good trilogy out of this, and it might carry on after that. But good times, I'd say. I mean, what have you got any idea about a score? Because I haven't, but mine's going to be high.
I have,
and it's good for the genre. So maybe we should think about doing something for the genre and overall as well at some point. I don't know if I can do that today.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is like as an overall movie, I would give this like 7.7 or 7.8,
which is pretty high. It's pretty high
overall movie. Yeah, as a horror movie, it's an 8.8, 8.9. Like it's
you're going to the moon.
But it does what it's meant to do as a horror movie. You're meant to be like, the thing that we probably haven't described is when you're in certain scenes, you are tense. Like there's things happening, and you're like fucking like, and there's like certain bits where you want people to live and you want people to escape, and not everyone is going to, but it's like
but it's not just the kills, right? I was thinking about this, it's also how intimidating like the mummy character is, I guess. Not mummy is in the universal horror thing, but your mum. But how because you don't know what she's going to do, and each time she can do more stuff. Like she's faster, she's scary. It's like she's got weapons. It was really good. All that early stuff in that apartment as well. I was just loving it because I just didn't know what was going to happen. And that's the way it should be, I think, rather than being able to figure it out straight away. But yeah, it was good, and I kind of agree with you on the scores. I think for an overall movie, oh god, I don't have to put too lots of graphics up there, but for the overall movie, I'd probably give it like a high sevens. 7. I'm probably going to be the same. I think 7.8 for the thing, and it's way up there for a horror film for me because we've had to put up with. And there are probably some gems that I've missed, but we've had to put up a lot of bad horror for a long time. And there was a period of my life I didn't watch any horror for like 10 years because I was like, this is all going to be bad.
Oh yeah, there was a
but there were still promising things in those that I liked. Like I think we talked about quickly before, things like the orphanage and stuff. I like that stuff, but it never quite hit it for me. For me, more recently, I love those Terrifier movies and this. So I think it's coming back. There's a few that I've missed. Hereditary, I do like. But yeah, I think this is way up there in the 8. So 8. I'm going to go with 8.8, which is still pretty high, and 7.8 for an overall film. But 8.8 for a horror film.
Well, yeah, I think
pretty similar.
7.8 for overall and an 8.9 for horror. So
that's why I said I agree with you.
Yeah, but I said 7.7, 7.8, so I'm going to give it a stern 7.8.
Yeah.
So how about you shut your mouth, Carl? Yeah.
What are you going to do? Invoke evil spirits? All right. No, I think it's good. It's a good place to leave it, and I think that is very good. What are we going to do about revised scores? Are we going to do it like quarterly or something and go back over some things? Maybe do a show where we just come on and go. Now I'm thinking about, because there are a couple of things that will probably change. This probably won't change for me. If anything, it might get better by a point.
No,
watch it again.
I don't think this will change. One thing I have been thinking about that would change would probably be, because when we did the first episode, it was John Wick, right? I think the first episode.
Yeah.
And I'd give that, again, if we're going to give scores for overall movie and like what it is, for what it is, I'd give it like a 9.5, right? And I gave it a 9.
Yeah.
But as an overall movie, probably an 8.2. Like it's, so 9's kind of ideal, right? Because I'm sort of in between the two things and whatever. But I kind of like, I love that film. I was excited about it. But when I think about it more and more, I kind of go, well, actually probably given that a little bit of a lower score and not been so excited about it. I was just, jizzing all over the place.
It's difficult when you come out being super excited. Now, the main reason I wasn't quite as excited, I did love the film, and I do love the film, and I'm looking forward to the Continental or whatever it is that's coming out. Because I needed a piss so badly for the past 30 minutes. I was like, can this just end, please? Because I don't want him rolling down another 5 sticks. So that stuff was getting on my nerves. But that's the main reason it was getting on my nerves. But I think those two, John Wick, those two scenes we talked about, still I think on the second watch, I'm like, come on, man.
I'm almost thinking that stairs bit now was a comedy bit that they added in.
Of course it was. They did it on
purpose. It was so long and farcical that I'm just thinking, did the director just go, this is just my Easter egg joke?
I'm gonna see if we can find out anything about that, because I'm sure some other people must have mentioned it. Because it was like, for God's sake.
Oh, everyone's mentioned it. I know who's seen it. They're like, that stair bit is absolutely. It's just like, it seems to me like it's an Easter egg joke that he's put in there.
There was even a bit where the stuntman is going down the steps, and there's a few films like Back to the Future 3 and so where I can think where you see the stuntman push, he jump, you can see when he jumps, and this happened.
Yeah.
Just a continuity thing, I think. But when you get to one of the platforms, you can see the stunt guy go. He can throw himself down another set, and I'm like, not another set. Come on.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, I think the review of the reviews, the review of scores should be once a quarter.
Well, let's do it on a live stream, because it's easier. We should do those every once in a while anyway. And one of the things we can do on them is a review. Let's go back over these scores. Have we changed our minds at all? And then talk about what we've done a little bit over that 3 months, and where we had ranked. I'm thinking of doing like a graphic where we can have the points and the movies like ranked or something.
Yeah.
That might be nice. Yeah, so Evil Dead.
People involved if you want to get involved. So
we need to get more people involved. Come and get involved, please. I won't start a podcast war, but somebody commented on our podcast and I replied, right? Very nice, very nice. So I went to this person's. Now this might be a mistake, but I went to this person's page and subscribed to him and all that, because I thought it's another movie review thing. Go back and the comments gone. Now that might have been my YouTube, and it might have been something that I haven't noticed. I'm going to look into it. But if you're fishing around on the internet and commenting on people's podcasts just so people come and like yours and you don't subscribe to ours, I'll find a book worse than The Evil Dead, and you and your entire family will be cursed forever.
Who are we talking about?
I don't know. I can't remember names. I'll have to do some I'll have to do some investigation of it. There's a route for me to get an evidence trail. I'll find out who it was, but I'm not going to start a podcast war, because it isn't that kind of show. But I'm just saying,
I'll curse you in all of your heirs for generations
if you do that sort of business with us. So
I think that's a great way to end the episode, especially on the Evil Dead.
Yeah. Anyway,
Carl's going to curse other podcasters.
So, so subscribe and like and share and all that
share,
stuff.
all that. Yeah.
Come and hang out with us. And for the people that are listening, and the people that are watching, and all that, please carry on to doing so. And it's nice. Listen, we're a little bit bumbling. We sometimes don't know all the details. We don't notice all the nerd details, and that's just the way it's going to be. But yeah, a nice 35 minutes on Evil Dead.
We should probably do social media stuff for the podcast as well. You know, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We are who we are. All right.
I'll put stuff. Check the description to this video. Everything will be in there, and I'll do various things. Various little graphics have popped up. It's a little bit of work, but I can do it. So just enjoy that, and it will get better, and we'll keep improving it as we go on. That's all we can promise. We'll evolve like fish to men or whatever.
No. Yeah. Something like that.
Anyway. All right, should we end it?
Bye, Carl.
All right. Goodbye, Sam. It was nice to talk movies with you today. We should get some cheesy stuff like that at the end. Nice little scripts.
And this
what a pleasure it was.
Talking movies.
We did talk movies, didn't we? Goodbye.